Imagine if Yellowstone National Park's most iconic geysers suddenly spouted black smoke instead of boiling water. You may think this is a preposterous notion, but scientists say it could have happened during the first week of September 2022. That's because an earthquake swarm hit the area around Yellowstone just days before what would have been the largest eruption in its history. And while the quakes didn't trigger an eruption, they did something else remarkable. They gave us an unprecedented glimpse into the inner workings of the supervolcano. Join us today as we explore what these earthquakes taught us about Yellowstone and how scientists are using that knowledge to better understand and monitor the park for any signs of trouble. Yellowstone National Park spans parts of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, and has been home to America's first national park since 1872. Its winding roads, stunning vistas, and abundant wildlife make it a tourist hotspot, with more than 4 million visitors every year. But there's much more to Yellowstone than meets the eye. In fact, it sits atop one of the world's largest and most powerful supervolcanoes. Supervolcanoes aren't like regular volcanoes with their steep sides and flowing lava. Instead, supervolcanoes form huge calderas, which are essentially large craters. These calderas can reach hundreds of square miles and are often filled with hot, steamy water when magma chambers below the surface get to full. They erupt, releasing tons of ash, gas, and rock. These eruptions can blot out the sun and dramatically affect global temperatures. And while supervolcanoes don't blow up all that often, they sure do leave behind some pretty spectacular views. So let's take a closer look at this massive subterranean beast that lies beneath Yellowstone. Yellowstone Caldera is the remnant of 3 separate super eruptions that took place over hundreds of thousands of years. The oldest dates back 2.1 million years. The second occurred 1.3 million years ago, and the third, which was the largest, happened 630,000 years ago. Each eruption added to the park's geothermal features, creating the network of geysers, hot springs, and fumaroles that tourists know and love today. As a result, Yellowstone is home to the world's most diverse geothermal system. It boasts nearly 10,000 hydrothermal features within its borders. And it isn't done yet either. New ones pop up all the time, like the recently discovered Dragon's Mouth Spring. However, Yellowstone is more than just a sightseeing destination. For centuries, indigenous tribes have called the land around Yellowstone home. The Shoshone, the Crow, the Cheyenne, and the Lakota have deep cultural ties to the area and consider Yellowstone sacred. In their traditions, stories, and beliefs, the tribes personify the forces of nature and hold them in high regard. Their reverence for Yellowstone predates modern science by thousands of years. But it wasn't until the mid-19th century that non-Native Americans started to appreciate the park's unique beauty. In 1869, explorers and surveyors scouting a potential route for the Transcontinental Railroad came across the Yellowstone River and were stunned by its grandeur. They described the river as majestic, powerful, and sublime. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. Soon, word spread about this hidden gem, and people began to flock to Yellowstone to see it for themselves. By the end of the Civil War, more than 500 visitors were making the arduous journey to Yellowstone each year. Today, more than 4 million people visit Yellowstone annually, making it one of the most popular national parks in the United States. But despite its popularity, Yellowstone is not without its problems. In recent years, the park has faced a number of challenges that threaten its delicate ecosystem. Climate change is causing temperatures to rise and precipitation to decline, leading to more frequent and severe droughts. This, in turn, is putting stress on Yellowstone's wildlife populations, such as the gray wolf and the grizzly bear, which rely on abundant vegetation and water sources to survive. Additionally, rising temperatures are also causing the snowpack in the park to melt more quickly, reducing the amount of water available for streams and rivers. This can have cascading effects on the entire ecosystem, impacting everything from fish populations to the geyser basins. Yellowstone National Park is famous for its geothermal features like Old Faithful, Grand Prismatic Spring, and Mammoth Hot Springs. But did you know that the park also experiences earthquakes? Yes, that's right. Yellowstone sits atop a hot spot, a particularly active zone of seismic activity. Over the years, scientists have recorded thousands of earthquakes in the area. While most of them are relatively small, occasionally a larger quake will occur, causing some damage to park infrastructure and even altering the landscape. In August 2022, a swarm of earthquakes rattled the region around Yellowstone, raising concerns among locals and tourists alike. Now, it's important to remember that earthquakes are a normal part of life in Yellowstone. The region is one of the most seismically active places in the country, recording hundreds of small earthquakes every year. However, this particular swarm was unusual due to its proximity to the Yellowstone caldera and the sheer number of quakes that occurred within a short period. In total, there were more than 1,000 earthquakes, with magnitudes ranging from 1.5 to 4.9. Luckily, none of them caused any significant damage or injuries. But they did cause quite a stir among the park-goers. As news of the earthquake swarm spread, many people were concerned that it could be a sign of something more ominous, perhaps an impending eruption of the supervolcano. After all, earthquakes and volcanic activity are often associated with each other. But fortunately, experts were quick to reassure the public that there was no need to worry. The United States Geological Survey, or USGS, which monitors seismic activity in the region closely, stated that the earthquakes were not related to any volcanic activity. In fact, the quakes were located in an area known as the Eastern Caldera Uplift, a region of the Earth's crust that is not directly related to the magma chamber below the caldera. So what caused these earthquakes? According to the USGS, it's likely that they were triggered by the movement of magma beneath the surface. While the magma itself didn't pose a threat of eruption, its movement caused the surrounding rocks to shift, resulting in the seismic activity. Essentially, the magma was rearranging itself beneath the surface, causing minor tremors along the way. It's not exactly clear why the magma was moving in the first place, but experts believe it could be due to changes in pressure or temperature, as well as the natural movement of molten rock beneath the crust. In any case, the earthquakes themselves were nothing to be concerned about, according to experts. They were fairly shallow and localized, meaning they didn't pose a risk to nearby communities or infrastructure. Nonetheless, the event serves as a reminder of the incredible power that lies beneath Yellowstone National Park and the importance of monitoring the area closely. Earthquakes are a natural phenomenon that occurs regularly in Yellowstone, but it's still important to understand their causes and potential impacts. By studying these earthquakes, scientists gain valuable insights into the inner workings of the Earth and the processes that shape our planet. Not only that, but it also helps them to identify any potential risks to humans and the environment and to develop strategies for mitigating those risks. So while the earthquakes may rattle our nerves a bit, they also provide an opportunity for scientific discovery and progress. The earthquake swarm that shook Yellowstone National Park in early September 2022 was a dramatic reminder of the incredible forces that shape our planet. While it's normal for the park to experience seismic activity, the sheer number of earthquakes in such a short period was still a surprise to experts. But thanks to advanced monitoring technology and rapid response teams, there was no threat to visitors or the park's geothermal features. As we continue to explore and understand Yellowstone, it's important to remember that natural disasters are a part of the natural world. By learning more about the processes that drive earthquakes and volcanic activity, we can better protect ourselves and appreciate the incredible power of our planet. So while the earthquakes may be unsettling, they also provide us with an opportunity to learn and grow.